Hey, so I was thinking of this thing that I always think about, and it's believing in something even when no one else does. And I think I could add to that even when you don't even quite know why you believe in it. And it's one of those things that not necessarily has to be like, oh, in career or with a relationship or whatever. Like, and by relationship I mean like, like you're the one that likes to grill all your friends and family hater. But what I mean is when you have that like gut instinct about something and it kind of powers through even when you don't, whatever. And it could be, let's just say, it could be good and bad. There could be stuff about I don't. I mean, it's kind of a drastic example, but thinking about okay, taking drugs or drinking or doing all that stuff, and no one can stop you from doing it because you're so addicted and you're so like in that loop and in that cycle of doing so that you can't stop. But what I'm talking about here, really focusing on, is like when you want to do something that seems lofty or seems crazy or seems whatever, and even though like even though you might fail or even though you may not be getting like people might be not be like telling you like oh you could do this or whatever that you it's not just that you believe it but you actually like it's like you know it. Like for me when it comes to doing any stuff, I think the fact that I'm still alive feels like enough motivation or enough reason for me to do things in my life that I'm like it kind of I don't know it's kind of crazy, but it's not that like I like the dreams I have when I was a kid were like not even like remotely close to what they are now. Like I said that weirdly, but what I was getting at is even when I was a kid, like when you're young and you're dreaming and stuff, even those dreams were less whatever than the stuff I have now. And yet the stuff I have now feels like it's I don't know how to make this not sound weird, but it feels like it almost feels like I have an obligation to chase after and do after these dreams, no matter if I fail or not, or whatever certain aspects, or oh, if I have to do it at a certain timing because I have to do this or that. Like, no matter really the circumstances, it feels like there's an obligation for me to do it. Like it's, I don't know. I'm trying to think of what to compare it to, but it feels so like in tune or in whatever with what I'm doing that I'm like obviously people talking about certain things affect it and like or like I think about it and like or like it affects me even if I don't know or whatever, but it's like when you know kind of thing. There's like a song on TikTok sound that says like when you know. I think that's Lana Del Rey, but it like when you know about like certain things, it's weird in my experience with it that when you have that and you experience that and you go through years and years of no one else seeing it and you just kind of feel it even when nothing's happening, it's it I think it could make you go insane if you don't believe in it and eventually you get to the point where you're like why am I doing this, what is it, all that stuff. But I don't know, it's a unique spot I think I'm in life where it's kind of every aspect of my life follows this track record. Like with career, obviously it's present, but even like love and stuff like that, like where I'm like, okay, I'm almost 24 and not in a relationship and all that stuff. But in my mind, I'm like, I don't like it's not like I don't really care, but it's not like I'm like in the thing of like, oh, I don't really care, like a rebel, or like I'm like, oh, I'm not trying to do this, or I'm it's not like I'm opposed to a relationship, or it's not even like that I'm scared of it or anything. So it's like it's like when you know, when you know. I'll just tell this video when you know. But it's just like I'm like, would I be good for a relationship? No. Does it make sense for me? No. And that's why I like think like okay, and like I think for like the stuff I want to do in life, like am I good enough to do the things I want to do? No. So why am I expecting to do these things? Yeah, I need to get good enough at these things. Got to go learn and grow to where I'm able to do these things like right. Like it's or like okay, like where I'm living is like that. Like do I want to be here or do I want to be somewhere else? I don't know. So I'm not gonna like try and settle down and do it and stuff or even think about that kind of stuff right now because I'm like I don't know. Like like I'm interested in potentially traveling and doing stuff. I've already done some traveling and stuff like that, but I think I'm very interested in this kind of stuff, and so I'm like. So I think it's important to like listen to your gut and listen to AI stuff because when it's in a position to where it's not quite like it doesn't quite know yet, then you shouldn't try to force yourself into doing this or that just because someone else is saying it. Like it has to feel right, or it's ultimately gonna like it's like building a foundation unevenly. Like it's gonna sure it might take what time or whatever, but eventually your house is gonna start tilting, or it's gonna start breaking, or something happens, or there's a hurricane or something like that, and then it break. Like, you want to establish that foundation and make sure what you're doing is right, or like good by you and stuff like that before you start building upon it. Like, it's a big thing with a relationship. Like, if you're not 100% with a relationship, like with the person you're staying with, then there's really no point in doing it. Like, just because he saw it, or just because she saw it, or just because your parents are telling you to, or just because it's a thing to where it's like, oh, you guys grew up in the same place, or just because everyone else is getting relationships, or just any of that stuff. Because what happens is there's people that might go to their grave without other people knowing this. There's probably people that lived to 100 that were super unhappy in relationships, would just put up with it and were miserable. It's something that's so unnecessary, and it's just one of those things like why the hell do we care about like any of that stuff that I was talking about? Like, realistically, like, let's be honest here, like, stuff is gonna happen. Like, it's not like, oh, I'm gonna be lonely forever. Oh, this is not happening for me. This not. It's about being patient. I don't think a lot of us are patient in a lot of things, and when things don't happen on our timing and stuff like that, don't happen quick, then suddenly you start like getting a word anxious and all that stuff, and you start like doing things drastically, or like forcing things that aren't meant to be, to try and make them be, and it doesn't usually bode well for whatever the hell you're doing. And for me, I've seen certain things in not even like actions, but in my thought process of being like, I'm in a situation where, let's just say, there's not a bunch of relationships around me, even though I'm 23 and 24, but you hear stuff about like, oh, such and such is with this, or such and such you got married, and even though, like, I'll be honest here, dad dying, all stuff, I want love more than anyone that I know in my entire life. Like, it's very strong, but I also know, when I know that it's not the time. I know that, hey, maybe the time is in a few months, maybe the time is in a few years, maybe the time is whatever, but I know it's not the time. And so when you believe that, when you don't just say it like, oh, it's not the time yet, but when you actually believe that with your soul, and you know, and you believe that when you know thing, it almost makes you act and do stuff differently. And that almost makes me kind of curious about what the future could hold, because I think there's so much for anyone out there, anyone listening, so much potential for you to like live a life or do things when you listen to your gut and when you believe that there's a reason stuff is happening. Because in my case, at least, it's what's happened is, let's say if life is going like this, it's starting to not just, oh, we take a right here, or left here, oh, like there's like one of the roundabouts, or you do these things and you keep doing these things that you never would anticipated, and you go into it and maybe you're scared going into it, maybe you're nervous, but then you go through and you're like, oh, that was kind of cool, that was a new experience, that was something I didn't anticipate, and it puts you in a new position. You learn, grow, and do, and you kind of gain new perspectives. And the more you do that, the more I feel like there's like, I don't know how to say it, like there's more to life the more you try and do things. So that's why I say, like, I'm so curious about the future, and I'd be curious for anyone, I'm sure y'all have great futures, but it's when you try things and you do things and you whatever, you see that there's not really limits to life. It's more so in terms of fear keeping you back. Like it's, you stay on the road and you don't diverge because you're scared. You don't know what's out there because you've only been driving on this road your entire life. And I was lucky because dad dying, that caused me to be like, okay, it doesn't really matter what my fears are. I gotta go off this. I gotta take this exit, and I gotta do this. And oh, maps turned off, so I gotta guess now. And oh shoot, I think it's this right, or what? Like, that kind of stuff is so valuable, and it's so important, especially people who grew up with a lot of anxiety. It's very important to have those moments and have those things where you take those leap of faith and do things that you don't know about, because the biggest thing when you take the leap of faith, even if it's whatever, and you see what happened, and you see like, oh, damn, like I actually did something and stuff like that. It's so rewarding, and for me, it's so motivating and allows you to kind of push and do more and more, and it's so important. And I think the know thing is important, because when your gut is right, for me, it's allowed me to just keep taking these leap of faith, keep doing these things. And I failed on pretty much every single one of them, failed or whatever you call it. But I kept doing them, and I've kept growing and change, and it's just felt right. Like, it's nice to have peace for once. Like, growing up, I never had peace. I never felt like I was like doing what I should be doing. And by that, I don't mean that like, oh, everything's going great, but more so that I'm on the right track. It's nice to feel like you're on the right track doing stuff that's right by you. And for me, that took taking those leap of faith. Maybe for other people it doesn't. Maybe it's just by doing what you're always doing, or maybe it's just by doing one thing. And I don't know. Maybe I go back to the track, or maybe whatever. Like anything's possible. But when you listen and when you follow that and when you believe in that and stuff like that, it's so valuable. And when you know, it's so cool. And yeah, who the hell cares about, oh, such and such happened this time, or that person doing this thing, or oh, why are you doing this? Because everyone else is doing this, or like, nah, just listen to whatever you believe in, listen to whatever God or religion is, no matter what, just listen to what you believe in, listen to the heart, listen to the gut, and hey, if it's scary, at least try it, at least try the thing. If it, one thing that I do is if I repeatedly, if I feel or think about something, that I usually do it, even if it scares me. Like if I think about asking someone to do this thing, or oh, I should go on that trip, or oh, I should hang out with this person, oh, I should talk to this person, oh, I should say I should talk about, or like be more vulnerable about this or that, like listen to that kind of stuff, because when it's repeating, it's kind of like almost an alarm going off, or like something. It's like you probably shouldn't be doing it. Like if you keep running, there's something out there trying to tell you, hey, do this, SCIT. So yeah, that's a little tidbit I want to share. But hope you guys are having a nice life. Subscribe, like, and see you next time.